It looks like I am live, but my screen is not ready. I still have 2 minutes. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. There we go. I think that's good. I hope that's good. I have a lot of different screens. I have a computer down there. I have a big TV screen so I can actually see things up here. And then I have a camera up there. So welcome. Welcome to Tuesday. It's almost 10 a.m. on Tuesday, June 1st. I am Christine Clardy, and I am with Sun and Moon Yoga Studio in Northern Virginia. Arlington, Virginia is where one studio is. Fairfax, Virginia is the other. We're going to be exploring some yoga here shortly. So thanks for dropping in. Susan is here. I love Susan. Susan's reliable. Susan is Hotline Susan, in case I have some questions. If you have joined in, you are welcome to pop a little comment into the chat box as a shout out. Welcome. Welcome. I hope you are here with things that make you comfortable. I have some tea. I have a couple of blocks and a rather high seat, rather folded up tall blanket today. We will wait one more minute just to make sure that we have a little grace period before jumping into our practice today. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. I've been thinking about curiosity. I've been curious about curiosity. I recently reread T.H. White's The Once and Future King, which is about King Arthur. And I remember reading it as a kid and just loving it. The first part where Arthur is young and he is a student. Merlin is his tutor. And I loved that part, and I hardly remembered the later part. So it was really interesting going back to reread this book. Maybe some of you have had the experience of rereading books recently, especially since we have been at home quite a lot, and maybe that's something that you've experimented with. I really liked something that Merlin told the young Arthur when he was feeling really bored one day, like students often do. He said, the best thing for being sad is to learn something. That is the one thing that never fails. The best thing for being sad is to learn something. That is the one thing that never fails. That does seem to be true. As I get older, I like learning new things, and it perks me right up. Science is with us on this. In fact, perhaps I'll be able to type into the chat box the link to something called the Britannica Curiosity Compass, which is a really fun website for people of all ages, for curious people of all ages. Morning, Jane, and hi, Laura. It's great to have you all here. Talking a little bit about curiosity. T.H. White in The Once and Future King, Merlin the magician advised his student, the young Arthur, that the best thing for being sad is to learn something. That is the one thing that never fails. I love that for today. We're going to call it curiosity. My invitation to you is to stay curious. I'll be inviting you to do that perhaps along and along over the next about 30 minutes. a couple of blocks nearby, and at least one cushion. Perhaps a higher seat today. We'll start seated, would be helpful. You always have permission to change anything. This is your half hour, and we are live streaming here together. I should be able to see a comment if it pops up in the box. Like I have this big, huge screen. And I really am grateful to be here exploring curiosity with you today. So I'll meet you on the mat in whatever easy seated position makes sense for you today. I have prepared this higher seat. It's a cushion that's a little bit taller than I normally would. And that's because as we come to rest, wiggling in, nesting in a little, the higher we are off the ground, the easier it is to get a sense of openness in the hips. The blocks are here to facilitate that. If you'd like to have the blocks right underneath the heavy part of your thighs. You know, and whatever cross-legged position includes something different. If there's a leg that needs to be out straight, or if you prefer to be seated in a chair with your legs not crossed at all, it's all good. As we enter our practice together, this moment of curiosity about what is here right now is so important. So, as we settle in, what is here today? Is there a little extra need for something in a different place? If you haven't done so already, breathe in through your nose and out the mouth with an audible sigh. Let yourself make some noise and be curious about what it sounds like in your own ears to breathe in, breathe out. And the third time, inhaling and exhaling. Settle in under the hip bones. And it's right here, right now. Feeling of heaviness anywhere in the body, including palms of the hands. Is there any temperature in the air against your skin, against your bare feet? Continue tracking the breath, curious about where it goes today. Deep in the belly, maybe. On the collarbones, perhaps. On the exhale, you might ask yourself, have I really exhaled? Learn a little bit more about a deeper exhale. Hold the navel in just a bit, expelling every last molecule. And then what does it feel like to breathe in? Continue that cycle. On an inhale, start to loosen the hands. Just let the muscles and the bones of the hands become floaty and wide. And ever so slowly, let the hands come away from the knees or the thighs and drift up. In fact, how slowly can we do this? As the hands start to move toward each other, we are headed to prayer position with the hands. Is there any point at which you actually not only see the hands coming toward each other, but if you gently close your eyes or maybe look up away from your hands, is there any point at which you feel the hands getting closer to each other? Perhaps the hands have a sense of each other while there's still some actual space in between them. How close can they be without actually touching? And stay curious about what you might sense before they actually land against each other and begin rubbing against each other. More vigorous building up friction and heat here right in front of the heart, or maybe even down low in front of the belly. Little quick flick with the fingers, and now let the palms of the hands come toward either side of your head. Keep the back of the neck long here, spine upright. And we'll have the same curiosity about, can the hands feel some sense or some halo, some aura around the head before they actually gently land there? Just curious. I wonder. I'll take a breath or two here. Balancing the left and the right and the left. And then on an inhale, let the palms start to grow away from the sides of your head, up and out, up and out. And we'll begin to reach the fingers right up into the air, whatever angle, whatever length you can create from the tailbone all the way up through the fingertips. If you'd like to lift your gaze up there, you can. Just reaching, let the bottom of your body be super heavy and the top of your body lift up, almost as if we had a helper in the ceiling lifting us up by the pinkies. Find a true, wonderful inhale for Tuesday morning. And as you exhale, turn your body to the left and let your hands land wherever they land. Fingertips are perfectly fine. Tense the fingers down, pressing down a little bit. And then inhale back up with arms overhead. And as you exhale, now over to the right. We'll take this breathing twist a couple more times. Inhaling to reach up. Exhaling into the twist. Again with that sensation of everything below your navel rooted and spread out against the mat. And the inhale sort of lifting and spreading you wide up into the air and the atmosphere, in the upper part of the atmosphere of your room. And we'll finish up on, for me, this is the right side. Just evening things out here. And now come on back to center. And if you'd like to change the cross of your legs at this point, you can. If you're super happy right where you are, don't worry about it. But I like to change the cross because I have some ankle and hip history. And I like to stay curious about what might be helpful for that. So changing the cross of the legs might have an interesting impact on the rotation here. This time we'll inhale, arms up overhead, and take the left arm, let it travel right down by the ear, by the armpit, and land on the mat with the heel of the hand if you can. Let the gaze go right down your shoulder toward the hip, and press down with that left hand while the right hand reaches up. Feel the right ribs open and flare out to the side. As you inhale and exhale here, we'll actually hold this just a minute. The arm is quite next to the hip. Hopefully you have a sense of being able to press down. And if you're in a chair, you could press the side of the chair. And there's a flaring zoop out, like gills on a fish. I always imagine that, flaring out with the ribs over to the opposite direction. The gaze is just down the shoulder, elbow toward the wrist. Let's use an inhale to reach up with these upper fingers and come back to center. And then we'll inhale, arms up overhead again. This time the right hand travels right down the side body. Let the gaze come with. If you can, find the heel of the hand pressing down into something, the mat or a block, right next to the body, close and foundational. And then curious about how much flare you might be able to get by reaching the left hand up and breathing into the left side body. Allowing the exhale to become part of this movement as well. And now on an inhale, reach even further up with the upper hand. We'll have everything circle back around to our seated position. Pause here to assess how you feel, any echoes from those movements. And now thread the fingers together. Flip the palms away from you and press the palms up away from your forehead toward the ceiling. Pressing through both palms or even through the wrists, if you will. Press, press, press away. Let the low back come into a gentle arch. And then as you exhale, roll this threaded business. Just roll it so that the hands come to rest in your lap and tuck everything in. So there's a flexion in the spine on the exhale, and then on the inhale, we'll flip the palms up, and exhale, roll the palms down into your lap. A couple more times this way. Inhale, pressing up. Exhale, tuck everything in, tailbone, chin. All right, one more time, inhaling with the arms up overhead. And this time, as you exhale and the hands come down, let these threaded hands come right at the heart and tuck your chin so that your elbows are down, tucked little wings, threaded fingers together, chin tucked on top of the hands, and inhale here. Exhale, lift the elbows up and lift the gaze up. Exhaling, elbows up, gaze up. Inhale, elbows down, gaze down. Inhale. Exhale. Stay curious about if any part of this is feeling unnatural or tricky. It is a little tricky. The inhale is when we're all tucked in, with the chin tucked in and the wings tucked in. And the exhale is a gentle lift, gaze up, and the elbows up. Take one more of these. Exhaling, elbows up, gaze is up. Inhale with the wings tucked in and the chin tucked, broad through the base of the neck. And then we'll just relax, release, let that go, shake it right off. And turn your body. You can stay on your high seat if you would like, so that your legs are straight. They can be zipped right up close together, or they can be hip distance apart. I like mine kind of close together. I've been working a lot on magnetizing the inner thigh line in. It's just a strengthening thing that I'm noticing would be beneficial to the rest of my movements. So I'm kind of zooped right in. Feet are gently flexed so the toes are up toward the ceiling. Reach your arms out in front of you, and as the left toe pushes away, pull the right toe towards you and let the right elbow travel back. Almost like getting ready for a bow and arrow. And then come back to center, and we'll take the other side. So when the left toes go back, the left elbow goes back, the gaze goes a bit to the left, and then back to center. And we'll start to pedal through this motion. How many things can we add to this and stay curious about which part might present a little bit of distraction? So the right toes back, right elbow back, exhaling. And then inhale as you move through center, exhale toward the left this time. Like a bow and arrow movement. We'll take a couple more of these, cycling through both sides. Notice that the elbows pull back. They don't need to pull up, pulling back so that you can feel the shoulder blades engage and the abdominals engage. A whole body movement with the breath. And we'll finish up, for me, I'm finishing up with one to my right. And then returning to center. If you have your blocks nearby, go ahead, grab your blocks. The next shape to be curious about is cobbler's pose. So cobbler's pose has us with knees bent. The feet come together and the knees come out wide to the side. You notice I've grabbed my blocks right away because I like to be in control of how far this external rotation happens. However, Albert Einstein, says curiosity has its own reason for being. Perhaps curiosity in this case, the reason for being, is to also give me a little courage to see how the rotation is working for me today. So curiosity has its own reason for being. What can I learn about my cobbler's pose right now? I actually feel pretty good here, but I could be curious about letting the legs drop into the grace of gravity. I think I'm not. I think I'm actually happier right here. Our spine is still erect, so the belly and the heart and the gaze are all straight out into the horizon. Let your hands find the shins or the knees. From this point, we might start to fold the body forward as if the belly button or your belt buckle were leading the way. So folding here, the hands are instrumental in holding the weight of the upper body upright. So the back is still flat. Gaze is several feet away from the front of the mat. I do feel my tailbone flip up like a happy dog tail in the back. That facilitates a fold here. And the cobbler's piece of this is what I'm curious about. Moving to the left and the right. Notice where your hands are and notice how your hands can help by walking yourself further away or using your own body as a prop. Your feet or your ankles or your elbows. Once you have found the fold that suits you, at that point you might relax the head, let it get heavy, relax the shoulders, let them soften. And there's a little bit of letting go here so that gravity takes the weight of the head and the neck and the shoulders. And then finally, we invite or revisit our breath. Breathing into the belly. Feel it spread wide. Maybe you even feel your belly against your thighs. Or maybe the belly fills this space inside the cobbler's pose. And what does the exhale do? Does the exhale bring you a little deeper into a fold or a little more relaxation in the head? What is that relationship between the breath and some of these more engineered shapes? I would rarely find myself doing this shape unless I had engineered it as part of my practice. So, wonderful chance to be curious. Learning something never fails, according to the great and wise magician Merlin. Now, to come out of this, if your head is bowed, let it stay bowed so the chin is a little tucked. And use the strength of your arms. Your hands help you walk back upright. And then lift through the back of the head last. And before you go anywhere, pause again to assess, see how you feel. You might use the hands to help the knees back up to center. And straighten those legs one more time. In fact, after you straighten them, let's loosen them up. Give yourself a little round of applause with a tap, tap, tap. And then go ahead and bend one knee. Have that foot flat on the ground, planted. The other leg is nice and long with those toes pointed up. And the bent knee, give it a little hug. Hug it right in. It works a lot for us. Give it a hug. Give it a kiss if you want. And then you might give it another hug where you wrap around in toward it so that the belly and the inner thigh meet each other. Now I've leaned forward a bit into this, which feels pretty good. The invitation to curiosity might have you bringing yourself more upright, still hugging the knee in, but using the arm now on the forearm and the wrist, and maybe the back arm reaching behind you. Notice the way the whole seat rotates a bit. You can let that happen. You don't have to stay plugged in to your seat. You can let the hips and the pelvis rotate a little bit, hugging the inner thigh in against the lower abdominals. And breathing, feel that healthy compression between the thigh and the abdominals. Inhale, get some length, height. Exhale, back to center. Straighten that bent leg. Pause it here. And then we'll take the other leg. So hug the other leg in. Bend right down, give it a hug, give it a kiss, and then really hug it in. And now I do like to come back up straight. My straight long leg reaches away from me a little bit, hugging the thigh in toward my abdominals. The back arm might tent or spider the fingertips down, pressing down, hugging that knee in. And I let my seat rotate. Different teachers might say different things, and you should be curious about what works for you. But I let my seat rotate a bit because I have some issues with my SI joint. And so I want to present a little bit of extra space for this joint, two joints right in the back of the sacrum to be able to flow and move. And then it's the breath that begins to even further facilitate holding, oscillating in the shape. How can we hold and oscillate at the same time? Well, maybe that's what we will learn about for today. Inhale, grow through the crown of the head. Exhale, back to center. Straighten out that leg. Any little shake that you want. Any pumping of the ankles, flex and point the feet. We'll be coming up from the mat now. So swing your ankles back behind you. In some way, go ahead and start coming up. Move the blanket off the mat or any other props. We're going to have a curious dog this morning. So as you start to rise away from the mat, you'll find yourself in table. Step the hands away from you about 6 or 8 inches. Curl the toes under. Not a lot of instruction for down dogs this morning. I'd like you to just stay curious about what happens when you press down and away with the hands, when you press down into the balls of the feet. What parts of you start to rise away from the earth first? Is it the knees? Where does the gaze go as the knees get further from the mat and the hips lift up to the sky? Perhaps the gaze is straight down at the center of the mat or back towards your toes. If you'd like to keep your heels really high and your hips really high and walk this curious dog like it's just super perky, way up, reaching out for the clouds, go ahead and do that. If you like to keep your knees bent and change where your feet are, the heels might come to the mat. Curious dog, walking. It's like a dog off the leash. How many places would you like to take your dog for a walk? Pedal the feet, roll the shoulders, maybe gaze under the armpits. If your hips are way toward the back of the mat, you might lift your heels up and bring the hips up more toward the front of the mat, almost into a super duper duper high hipped plank, and come on back. Play around a little bit with this curious dog. My dog has been going crazy trying to eat every cicada in Northern Virginia. So this really is kind of how she looks when she's walking around. She's trying to touch everything. She's trying to smell everything, look under every leaf. So we're here curious about this down dog shape. If you feel called to stillness into a regular Adho Mukha Shavasana, of course, find a down dog and let the muscles lengthen and strengthen. We could return to that question of how can I be in stillness and also enjoying the movement that we call breathing. And when you've had enough of that, we will be rolling up to stand. So bend the knees, lift the heels if you'd like, and start to walk the hands back towards your feet. Let the crown of the head be heavy. The gaze is down. Chin is tucked a little bit. Almost coming into a rag doll. Let the knees bend as much as you need to. Your hands can walk up the shins and up the thighs. Keep the tailbone tucked as you recruit strength in the legs. Coming up one vertebra at a time. Crown of the head is last. And our final curious thing is, can we roll all the way up without adjusting hair or clothes? And what does that feel like? Roll up so slowly, lift through the back of the head. Finally, the crown of the head is up. Uncurl the fingers to relax the palms. Bring the weight of your body slightly into the heels. Let the feet and the toes spread wide. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Long through the sides of the neck, the back of the neck, broad at the base of the throat. And then when you're ready, relax, release, shake it off, let everything go. You can fix your shirt, you can fix your ponytail, shake it all off. At this point in our practice, it's about 10:30. So we have come all the way up. Maybe for you, that means you are ready to go jog 3 miles. Maybe you're ready for breakfast. Maybe you're ready to come back to the seat of meditation and sit mindfully with whatever seated practice you enjoy. Maybe it means that you will join me with hands at heart center and enjoy the word namaste, which I like to end a practice with, even though I'm not from India and I don't speak Sanskrit. I do really like to let you know that the light in me bows to the light in you, and that I appreciate your presence and our practice together. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Stay curious. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna put this little tip in here. Britannica Curiosity Compass. I think if you Google that, you'll find something really fun for curious people of all ages. Thank you so much. Have a great day.